Hi friends, welcome to Raising Lifelong Learners. I'm your host, Colleen Kessler, and this is the podcast where I encourage you to trust yourself and your differently wired kiddos as you help cultivate their curiosity, encourage them to discover the world around them, embrace who they are wired to be, all while helping them discover their passions, interests, and raise them to become the amazing adults they're meant to be. Hey, welcome back. This is episode 291, and today we're kicking off a series. The next 5 episodes are going to be about different aspects of executive function. I've talked about executive function a lot before, but I've talked about it in general terms and touched on all the different aspects of executive function in the episodes in which I talked about it. And I keep getting more and more questions asking about practical solutions for different parts of the executive function skills and strategies for helping our kids. So I'm going to break it down over the next 5 episodes into a couple different areas. Today we're going to start with mornings, morning routines, help for those kiddos of ours who are a little bit time blind, and we're going to focus on gentle scaffolds that can actually happen in our day, things we can implement today and help our kids as they grow. On top of it, we've got a really great download that is available for you for free to go along with these next 5 episodes. It's a collection of task cards and routines that can help you set up your homeschool day, and any day really, with success and for calm and functionality. So make sure after this episode you head over to the show notes at raisinglifelonglearners.com/podcast and you download the executive function task cards and morning routine so that you have some practical things at your fingertips to help your kids out. Before we begin, I just want to thank CTC Math for their continued sponsorship of this podcast, as well as Night Zookeeper for their gift of sponsorship as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about CTC Math later on in the episode, but right now, before we begin, I want to talk to you about Night Zookeeper. So pop your earbuds in, get ready for a great episode, and we will get started right after this word about our sponsor. Hey there, if you are looking for a fun and stress-free way to tackle language arts in your homeschool this year, let me tell you about something that could be a total game changer for your homeschool, Night Zookeeper. It's an award-winning online program that helps kids ages 6 to 12 build their writing, reading, and spelling skills. And the best part? They actually love it. Seriously, it's so engaging and interactive that your kids won't even realize they're learning. We used Night Zookeeper in our homeschool when my girls were younger, and they had a blast creating stories and characters. This fall, my youngest son is jumping in, and I'm especially excited because he's a bit of a reluctant writer. I love knowing he'll get gentle encouragement and even personalized feedback from real tutors, so I don't have to be the one hovering over to correct all his errors and help him become a better writer. He will have somebody else helping him. Here's why homeschoolers like me love Night Zookeeper. It's fun. Kids can play independently through thousands of games and activities for grades 1 through 6. It's comprehensive, covering reading, writing, spelling, grammar, and more. It's trackable. You get a parent dashboard to monitor progress and even assign custom tasks. It's personalized because the tutors inside Night Zookeeper give feedback on your child's writing, which is huge. And it's offline too. There are free monthly printables delivered right to your inbox. Oh, and better yet, there's a 7-day free trial, so your kids can dive into the magical world of Night Zookeeper risk-free. You can check it out at the link in the show notes or at nightzookeeper.com. And let me know what your kids create. I have a feeling they are going to love it. And I want to give a special thanks to Night Zookeeper for sponsoring the podcast. It's sponsors like that keep the podcast going. We appreciate their support and we want to show support in return. So if you're in the market for a new language arts program for your kids ages 6 through 12, you definitely need to check it out. Let them know that you heard about it on the Raising Lifelong Learners podcast, and let me know if you have any questions. I can't wait to hear how it goes for you. All right, are you ready? Let's get on with today's episode. Hey there, I'm so glad that you are here. Like I said in the main introduction, we are going to spend the next several episodes really digging into executive function skills, a little kind of bite-sized chunk at a time. And today we're going to be talking about morning routines. We're going to be talking about that kind of time blindness that some of our kids, especially our neurodivergent kids, start to, and I'll talk about what that is. I'll talk about what it looks like, and I'll really give you some practical ideas for how to nip it in the bud and get your mornings organized right away. Before I begin, though, I want to remind you of what I said in the introduction, and I'll remind you again later that we have a special download for this episode and for this series, really. It's an organizational tool that can help you streamline your mornings and get a routine, a structure in place to help you out so that you and your kids can be set up for success every single day. Now, again, I have my own neurodivergent kids, so I know that that doesn't mean that it's going to be like this magic wand that's going to make it so every single day is going to go smoothly. It's just a tool to have in your toolbox so that more days go smoothly than not, or so that you at least are moving towards the right direction. So if mornings at your house feel like you're trying to herd caffeinated squirrels into the place that they need to be while the clock ticks along and sprints ahead and time is just evaporating, you are not alone. We're going to dig into that time blindness idea for morning routines and focus especially on our gifted, twice exceptional, and otherwise neurodivergent kiddos as usual. I really want you to come in here with an open mind, listen to this with an open mind, and honestly, just throw away all of that one-size-fits-all advice that you hear time and time again. The thing is that the one-size-fits-all advice works for the majority of the people. That is why we have books like What to Expect When You're Expecting, What to Expect the First Year, What to Expect the Second Year, and all of those kinds of resources, because the majority of the average of the population develops in a way that can be trackable. Our neurodivergent kids break that mold. And so one size fits all doesn't work for us. And so we want to ditch that, get it out of our minds, and build our own simple and humane rhythm that lowers stress in our home and boosts independence. So grab your coffee, take a breath, and let's make mornings kinder to everyone, especially you, the parent who is going through this. My friend Pam once said, and I have totally stolen this from her, and I say it again and again, you're the person who's going to be in your homeschool the longest. Your kids, no matter how many you have, all graduate at some point, and you're going to be going and going. My oldest is 22. He is no longer in my homeschool. My second oldest, Molly, is away at college right now. She is no longer in my homeschool. I have two more children in my homeschool. One of them is going to graduate in 3 years. And then I'll have another for another 4 years after that. I will have spent the longest time in my homeschool than any of those children. And so we need to be kind to ourselves, and we need to set up routines and structures that help us help our kids. So before we begin, let's just talk about that. What is time blindness? So the quick definition in mom speak is time blindness is when minutes don't feel like minutes. 10 minutes can feel like 2, or 2 can feel like 10. For our kids with ADHD, autism, anxiety, giftedness, or a 2E, twice exceptional profile, internal time sense can be unreliable, especially first thing in the morning when executive function is at its lowest. It's not defiance, it's neurology. I'll be completely honest with you and tell you that sometimes this doesn't go away. This is going to be something that some of our kids will struggle with all the way into adulthood. I struggle with this. My husband used to say, nobody can meet all of your expectations, not even you. There is no way that any person can accomplish all the things that you have put on your checklist for you to do in a day. It's just not possible. I do the same thing as my kids. Overplan, don't have enough time for it, or underplan and then have all this time looming. Things I think are going to take me no time at all, take me forever, and vice versa. I want you to think of executive function kind of like your family's air traffic control The planning, the prioritizing, the task initiation, the working memory, and the emotional regulation all coalesces into their executive functions and helps them do all the things that they need to do. Mornings ask our kids to run all those skills at once before breakfast. No wonder transitions can be difficult. Our goal isn't to fix our kids, it's to externalize the time, reduce the cognitive load, and create safety and predictability for the nervous systems that need it. And that's what we're going to try to accomplish in this episode today. So first, let's rethink routine from rigid schedules to rhythms and anchors. We talked a little bit about this last week on the podcast when we talked about flexibility versus structure and how to balance the two. So if you want to hear more about that, go to episode 290 and listen to that. I'll link to it in the show notes so you remember to go back to it. It's important to keep that idea of structure and routine and the flexibility between them in our minds as we're figuring this out. Because traditional morning checklists say things like 7 o'clock, wake up, 7:15, be dressed, 7:30, be at the breakfast table, start school at 8. And if that works for you, amazing. I'm so envious. And I know it does work for some of us. And then you go with it. If you have a structure like that works, then absolutely take advantage of that. But for many of us, we need something more flexible. I want you to think in rhythms, in the order of things, and anchors, events that tether the morning in reality rather than exact times, because that can help us out. A lot of times, a psychologist will tell you when you're struggling with something or you need to build a new habit to anchor it to something else. In fact, I was having a really hard time taking some new supplements that I needed to take, and my doctor told me that I should anchor those supplements to something I do every single day, like brushing my teeth. And so even though I would prefer to do my supplements first thing in the morning when I get up, I was always forgetting. So I come down and I make my coffee and I let the dog out and then I drink my coffee and then sometimes I have breakfast and then I go back upstairs, I take a shower and I brush my teeth. My toothbrush is right on top of my supplements. So when I take my toothbrush off the top of them, I move my supplements and I take them immediately then and there because I always have a bottle of water up in my bedroom right next to my supplements. So we need to figure out the anchors that will help our kids. But first we need to figure out whatever our rhythm is. So maybe it is wake, regulate, fuel, move, connect, and launch. Those are that's the rhythm that I want you to kind of think about today. And the executive function morning routine printable and free download that goes along with this and the next 4 episodes includes that rhythm on it. Wake, regulate, fuel, move, connect, and launch. Anchors, like I just said, are things that you already do daily. The bathroom fan turning off, a playlist ending, the kettle whistling, a sunlight lamp cycle, your first cup of coffee, or when the dog finishes breakfast. We attach tasks to those anchors. For example, this is a sample time-blind friendly morning routine. It doesn't have clock times. It has a rhythm with anchors. So wake, lights come on slowly, there's soft music playing, maybe you peel back the weighted blanket that your child has slept with, and then regulate. Drink some water, take some deep breaths, do like a 2-minute shake and wake movement where you're shaking your body from top to bottom. Number 3, fuel. Have some kind of simple protein and carb and get rid of decision fatigue. So if you need to, have the same breakfast every day. For me, I go downstairs every morning and I let my dog out. One of my dogs sleeps with one of my kids who sleeps a little bit later. So I take my border collie, she goes outside. While she's outside, I make my coffee. Sometimes I step out on the deck, I wait for her, she comes back in. Usually my coffee's done by then. I put some heavy whipping cream and some collagen supplement and sometimes some other kind of healthy fat like coconut oil or a butter in my coffee. And that usually satisfies me for a while. And then I have breakfast a little bit later. So I do that. So whatever it is for you, fuel your body in the way that you fuel your body. And then move. Do 3 to 5 minutes of heavy work. This is really great for our kids who struggle with emotional and physical regulation. So this could be something like wall push-ups or folding some laundry or carrying a laundry basket upstairs, whatever it is. And then connect. Do one tiny little touch point with your kids or somebody. If it's, your dog and, you're the adult, the only adult up, or give your kids a hug, rub their back, whatever. And then launch. Launch into your first academic or creative thing, maybe with a 2-thing start. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. But this is a simple and sample timeline friendly routine if you're anchoring it to the rhythms that you're creating. Okay, one of the best things that we can do for our families, especially our kids who have that time blindness in the morning, is prep the night before. We can kind of backward fill and then remove the friction from the next morning. Time blind brains thrive when we move decisions kind of like upstream. So if we're backfilling the whole morning, we started at our desired launch. So say our desired launch is like morning read aloud on the couch together. We ask ourselves, what's the step right before that? And you keep walking backward until you hit bedtime. Now you know what to set up. So it's kind of like creating a chain from where you want to launch your morning to where you are at night. And so we remove the friction that's going to be in our way at night once we have kind of like backward chained the whole morning. So put the obvious things in the path of our morning routines. So clothes that we're going to wear in baskets by our beds or at the foot of our beds or whatever works for us. One of my kids has a little bench in her room, so we would put clothes on the bench. I put mine on, I have like an old cedar chest under the window in my bathroom, so that's where I put my clothes. And then have your toothbrush either in a caddy or on your supplements like I do or wherever. Math books on the couch with a pencil pouch, your meds in a labeled bin by mom's mug, water bottles filled and in the fridge. And then you prep your stations. Maybe you have a grab-and-go breakfast shelf. We did this for a lot of years. I had baskets set up in the kitchen, and those baskets had grab-and-go breakfast. So there was fruit already cut up in the refrigerator or like bananas or oranges or apples. And then I had baggies in a bin, and those baggies had either a single portion of cereal. Yes, there was a time in my life when my family needed the structure and the ease of grabbing and getting set up that way. So I pre-filled a single serving of cereal. When I bought my cereal, I poured it all out into single serve bags. And I'd like to say I reuse those bags all the time, but I didn't. Sometimes I did. It was definitely not the most environmentally friendly thing to do, but sometimes when we are raising neurodivergent kids, we really need to think about what's going to set our life up for success and do that. And it's not going to last forever. I don't do that still. In fact, my cereals just get poured in a big bin and we go through them and they live in the cupboard. So I would have single servings of cereal. I would have muffins. So I would pre-bake muffins, and usually I put protein powder in those muffins because my kids really needed protein at the time and would not eat protein in any other way. And so inside those muffins, we'd have protein powder, and I'd make a huge batch of mini muffins, and I'd put them in baggies of like 3 or 4, so a single serving. And then I would also make instant oatmeal packs. I did this myself because at the time we were really preserving or being specific about the ingredients that we used. And so I had a recipe that I used all the time. You could always reach out to me and I will dig it up and, email you about it if you want, or write a post about it. But inside, I would do like once a month, I would pre-make all of these oatmeal packets, and I'd make brown sugar or like cinnamon and sugar or oats and honey, or I don't know, whatever, like apples and cinnamon. I had a whole bunch of different recipes. And so my kids could just add hot water to the oatmeal packets because they had dried milk in them. They could grab a piece of fruit and the protein muffins, or they could grab a bowl of cereal with milk. And so they had grab and go breakfasts. And this was like right in the prep station in the kitchen. You could also have a regulation basket that has like fidget toys, chew necklaces, noise reducing headphones, whatever your kids might need in the morning to help get them through their day. And then a launch crate with their schoolwork supplies. Each of my kids right now has a basket that has all of their workbooks and binders and spirals and supplies and anything they need for the day for their schooling. And so they could pull that. And then another thing that you can do to reduce the friction as you're going through your time-blind friendly morning routine, that's kind of a tongue twister, is you could come up with your menu the night before. So you can ask your kids, if you don't want to have these prep stations, you can ask your kids, do you want eggs or yogurt in the morning? Do you want sausage and toast, or do you want oatmeal? And get their input so they have a little bit of autonomy and a little bit of say, and then get it set up for the next morning so you're ready to go. This collapses the decision fatigue of figuring out what we need to make every morning. It's a really good skill to have. I was just talking to my kids today because I'm trying to set up. We're going to start, so as I'm recording this, it's about a week before it's going to air, so about 2 weeks before it's going to air. So by the time you listen to it, we'll have started our school for the year, because we are starting the Tuesday after Labor Day. But I was talking to my kids and I was saying, the two that are remaining homeschoolers, that I am really going to need to rely on them to help this year with some of the cooking. They are 12 and 16. They can absolutely help with some of the cooking. So I said I want each of them to handle like a breakfast during the week and a dinner during the week. And so my 12-year-old immediately said he wanted to make pancakes. He has really just started loving making pancakes this summer. And so he wants to make a big batch of pancakes one day a week. And then my other daughter, or my daughter, said that she would make oatmeal, we do overnight oats in the crock pot. And so I'm going to work with her so she knows how to do that and set it up exactly. And then I'll do some other things. Give them options and set them up for success. When we're building that backwards kind of schedule, that backwards chain, we can also come up with some micro habits that can stick and help us out. So pairing tiny actions with existing anchors can help us. Like when I start the coffee in the morning, I put the vitamins on the counter. Or when I open the blinds, I place the launch crate on the couch. So building that in your head so you know that, even jotting it down, can help you set yourself up for success the next day. Keep the first tasks below the resistance line. So do the things that you're going to do in your launch, 2 to 3, maybe 5 minutes max. We want dopamine wins right away. When we're dealing with ADHD kids in particular, but also kids who are twice exceptional or autistic, they need that dopamine hit to keep them moving and motivated. So we want a quick win. So maybe that's breakfast is ready as soon as they come downstairs. Maybe that is doing 3 math problems that are something that they learned a couple days ago, so they're going to get it right away. Or maybe that's like a brain teaser question on the board. Or maybe that's a quick game of cards at the breakfast table. We want to give them something that gives them a good feeling and starts that dopamine so that they're ready to go seek the next hit of dopamine and they can build from there. We have to work with how our kids' brains are wired. And kids who have ADHD are often hyperactive because their brains are seeking a dopamine hit again and again and again. It's why a lot of these kids struggle with screen addiction and other things like that, because they're getting that input from the screens or whatever bad habit they have. And we want to be able to channel their brain's need for quick wins so that we can set them up for success. Okay. We also want to incorporate movement and co-regulation. Many behavior battles are actually because of nervous system needs. So we want to build a quick movement, regulate, connect cycle with our kids in the morning. So we want to move for just 2 to 3 minutes, doing wall push-ups, bear crawls, carry a laundry basket, do chair pushbacks. You can do some yoga or mindfulness moves, mini trampoline bounces, whatever it takes. Just a couple minutes. Get the body moving so that they are waking up and becoming more alert. And then we want to regulate. So we could do that by having our kids or ourselves splash cold water on our face, take a really long inhale through our nose, take a deep breath through our nose, and blow a long mouth exhale. So I've said this one before. I teach my kids, smell the flowers, blow out the birthday candles. So a deep breath in through the nose, a quick, hard push out exhale through the mouth. You can do a 5-count box breath, You can do like some suck and chew oral input for those kids who have really high sensory needs. This is like drinking a thick smoothie through a straw or an applesauce pouch, or you can even do this with just regular yogurt through a straw sometimes, a weighted lap pad at the table if your kids need it, but something to regulate their nervous system. And then finally connect with them, like make eye contact, give them a smile, a shoulder squeeze, let them know you don't have to rush, I'm on your team, we're going to get this done. Those kinds of things can help our kids through that cycle of rhythm that we're trying to build. Wake, regulate, fuel, move, connect, and then finally launch. Some of the things that we can do in our environment to help our kids set up for success in the morning is we can tweak things like lighting. We can have like a warm lamp start, and then we can turn on the overhead, or we can get our kids a sunrise clock. My daughter and I were so disappointed because we bought the Hatch Restore clock. It's an expensive clock that can help regulate your sleep cycle with like a bird song and sunrise and sunset and things like that. My daughter who went to college, and she really wanted that to bring to her dorm with her because she knows she needs to set herself up for success, and she's always struggled with sleep-wake cycles. And so I bought it, and we get to her dorm, and the Wi-Fi in her dorm is terrible, and it can't support the Hatch. So that's really disappointing. And then we tried with a hotspot, but because the hotspot is mobile and can't stay on 100% of the time, it's constantly resetting, and it's just not going to work. So instead, we had to get like a vibrating bed alarm, and the Hatch is just going to come back home. Get something that can help you. We have a regular sunlight alarm clock that was only like $20 from Target in my other daughter's room. You can also regulate with sound, a calm playlist that you always use for mornings maybe. Smell, you can use some kind of diffuser. Citrus or peppermint is very alerting and can help wake your kids up. And then visuals, you can reduce clutter in the first hour or so. Try to keep the bedrooms like streamlined and relaxed. And then as they come downstairs or get into the kitchen, they're getting into the more cluttered and busy parts of the home. And so they're kind of waking up as they go through the different parts of their environment.
Okay, so let's talk about math. Specifically, let's talk about finding a program that actually works for your unique homeschoolers. In our house, we've been using CTC Math for years. And even though I am so appreciative that they sponsor this podcast, I am a paying customer. I'm still a paying customer even with their sponsorship because it's just that good, and I love supporting great companies with great programs. With 2 kids still at home, both with very different learning needs, CTC Math has been the flexible and dependable solution that I keep coming back to. One of my kiddos needs more time to process math concepts, and I love that she can move through the lessons at her own pace without feeling rushed or behind. My other kiddo, he flies. He jumps straight to the end of unit tests to see what he already knows, and then we only focus on the lessons that fill the gaps. That kind of customization is gold when you're homeschooling gifted or twice exceptional kids. CTC Math gives you the access to every grade level from kindergarten through 12th grade with your subscription so that your child can accelerate, review, or jump around based on their own needs, not based on some rigid curriculum structure. And because it's video-based with clear instruction and auto-graded lessons and quizzes, it frees me up to support my kids without being chained to a textbook, teacher's manual, or whiteboard. So whether your child needs more time or is racing ahead, you can tailor it all with CTC Math. Check it out at ctcmath.com. You will see why so many homeschool families trust it. And if you've got quirky math learners like I do, I think you're going to love it. If you have any questions about CTC, like I said, we've been using it for years in our homeschool, and I encourage you to reach out and ask me any questions that you have. If you do pop over there, let them know that I sent you, and let them know that you appreciate their ongoing support of homeschoolers everywhere, especially those of you here at Raising Lifelong Learners. All right, let's get back to today's episode.
Okay, so We want to also make sure that we have visuals that work for our kids. Menus, checklists, we want to help them externalize. Time-blind brains need time to live outside their body. They need to be able to find anchors to their day so that they can kind of regulate themselves and learn to interpret time and how it passes. So one way that we can externalize time is to have analog clocks in key rooms. So clocks that are analog, so they're using the hands and they're learning to tell time that way. Digital clocks, we want clocks that they can read in all the different areas of the house so they can see an external representation of time. Too often now we rely on our phones or our computers to tell time, and so we don't have those set up around our house, and this is a good time to get those back. We can also use visual timers like a sand timer or a time disk timer or a kitchen timer, whatever it takes to help our kids. My kids really enjoy using our Amazon Echo Dot. They'll tell Alexa to tell them, when it's 10 minutes or to give them a 10-minute countdown or a warning, or we'll set a timer for however long that they have to do something because they need the external reminder as well. We could do playlist timings. So I mentioned this in the last episode. My friend Pam used to start her mornings. When it was time to start their morning time, she would start a song and the kids had to be at the table ready to start their morning time by the time the sound ended. So that would be a good thing that you could do to incorporate as well. We can also use smart speaker routines. So good morning could trigger the lights or a 10-minute timer. So we could use the tools that we have, the technology that we have around us to help our kids regulate their external time. We can also create a morning menu, not necessarily a to-do list, but different things that they can do. Maybe a choice board that has 3 categories so our kids can pick one from each. We really want our kids, especially our neurodivergent kids, to have a sense of autonomy and ownership to their day and their schedule. If we're using those terms in our routine, like body and ready and launch, we can have a chart that says body, ready, launch, and under body it says move, drink water, brush teeth, wash face. And we want our kids to go choose one thing out of the body column. The ready column, get dressed, brush your hair, choose a cozy add-on like a hoodie or a hat if needed. And then we can tell them, go choose something from the ready section. And then launch, do a copywork page, do a Lego build challenge, do a nature sketch, a 10-minute independent reading time, or an audiobook while drawing. And we can have this morning menu set up and have them choose different sections as they get through their day. The other thing that we can do is have a 2-thing start. We can begin the day with 2 tiny tasks that create momentum. This is that dopamine again that some of our kids really crave to keep them motivated. So for example, we can say, open the math book to this page and write today's date. Or pull out your journal and write one great thing that happened yesterday and describe it to me. Listen to one poem and circle your favorite line. Read one chapter in your book and tell me the best thing that happened in that chapter. So start with 2 things so that they get a quick win. We also want to give them visual support. So we're going to scaffold this depending on their age. So we could do picture cards for non-readers, simple check boxes for readers, or a vertical strip with Velcro to move to the done from the first column when they have them, when they finish a task, so that our kids have a visual reminder of the things that they need to do. We can color code this per child. My calendar is color coded for my children. They used to have everything color coded, including dishes. There was a time in our life, in our family, when my kids were younger, and I was just really tired of finding cups and plates and plasticware and silverware and stuff all over the house. So I bought all 4 kids their own color, a plastic bowl, a plastic spoon, a plastic fork, knife, cup, plate, and they ate off of that. I think we had like 2, so if one was being washed, the other one was ready. And I always knew who cleared their plate or who didn't. The calendar was color-coded with those same colors, and everything else was as well. So they could see at a glance who needed to be where and what they needed to do. And then it gave me a really clear, quick understanding too when I was looking at the calendar. So color-coding your kids is perfectly fine. Put a visual where action happens. So if you're spelling everything out for your kids and you have a checklist for what to do to get ready in the bathroom in the morning, like brush your teeth and wash your face and all of those things, have that in the bathroom. When your kids are learning to do laundry, have the steps for how to wash their laundry in the laundry room by the washing machine. I'm so grateful actually that I did these things when my kids were younger and really needed the support of the visuals, because my daughter's at college now and has done her laundry several times because she knows how to do her laundry. She's not worried about it. It's natural. She says so many of the students complain about having to do their own laundry for the first time, and has no problem with it because she says it gives her thinking time. Usually she does it in the middle of the week when nobody else is in the laundry room. And when someone else is in the laundry room, she'll put her laundry in and set a timer on her phone for the cycle, and she'll go in the lounge or the stairwell and she'll make a phone call or she'll do some schoolwork. And it's a really nice time to decompress. So these skills that we're scaffolding for our kids with these easy routines and these visual schedules and visual checklists help them in the future. We also want to make sure that we're thinking about each of our kids and we're tailoring them to their different kind of brain profiles and who needs what. Every brain is different, and we want to make sure that we know which kids we're dealing with and how their brains work. So for example, a kiddo who has ADHD has not just a time-blind brain, but their brain works really quickly. And so for a kiddo like that, we might use racing games like beat the timer for one task and give them micro choices. Do you want to put your shirt on first or your socks on first? So they have that autonomy and their brains are clicking away. Keep a hands or busy bin at the table so they can fidget while you're doing a read aloud, or have something in their hands when they need it, or a TheraBand on the chair so they can kind of bounce and kick their feet against something, or thinking putty. And then offer short path days, especially after a late night. Give them some body care, let them, care for their body, fuel themselves up, give themselves some connection, and give them a quick launch with some easy dopamine hits and tasks that they can be successful with. Our kiddos who are autistic or lean towards PDA, we want to present invitations to them, not necessarily commands. Would you like to brush your teeth before or after the smoothie that you have? You can use collaborative scripts. How can we make this easier for your brain and your body? Predictability, we want to keep the order the same even if times shift for these kids. We can also offer opt-outs with alternatives. Okay, if you want to skip your socks today, you can choose soft slippers instead. So we want to make things accommodating to their brains, but still have them move forward each day. For our kiddos who have anxiety, worry a lot, or are perfectionistic, especially those who are gifted, we want to pre-decide with their input what good enough is. Teeth brushed once well is a win. Getting math done at 80% is amazing. Done is better than perfect. We want to give them a warm-up task that's mastery level to spark their confidence and give them that sense of accomplishment, because our perfectionistic kids really, really need that. And then we want to name the feeling and normalize feelings. Mornings can feel big. I get it. Let's go slow. We'll still be okay if we go slow. Talk to them, validate their emotions and their worry and their feelings, and help give them the scaffolding they need to get there. Our sensory seekers or sensory avoiders, we want to offer heavy work before close, especially for seekers. For avoiders, we want to give them tagless clothes, seamless socks, a hairbrush with detangler and scalp pressure. We can give them a dress under the blanket option, or sunglasses or noise reduction if lights or sound are a trigger. We want to really keep in mind what is going to be triggering to them, what they're going to be avoiding or seeking, and give them some of that. Okay, so what happens if our mornings, even with all of these routines, all of these structures, all of this scaffolding in place, what if it goes sideways? A few of the common snags that we might come up against and some of the fixes that we can use are as follows. So one, and this happens in our home a lot, we wake up late. So when you wake up late, you want to have a plan B morning, some kind of body care, fuel, connection, and maybe one anchor learning task. Everything else slides to later in the day. Give yourself some quick wins, give yourself the connection, and don't overly worry about all that you didn't do. Just focus on what you can do. What about a meltdown at transition time? If there's a meltdown at transition time, this is a regulation issue. So go back to move, regulate, connect. drop the demands, co-regulate, and then reboot with a smaller first step. We want our kids to keep moving forward, but we also want to recognize that sometimes they need help in regulation. Maybe your siblings, the kids, have a speed mismatch. You can use buddy blocks, maybe 10-minute paired jobs, and then each kid has their own tailored launch so they can go about their business at their own rate. So maybe you do something for 10 minutes together, like a story, a morning time, whatever it is, and then they go off on their own and then they regroup later. Maybe it's a medication issue or low appetite. Try a smoothie first or sips of protein drink while dressing. Build a second breakfast routine in if your kids struggle with this. There was a time when one of our kids was on ADHD medication that really suppressed their appetite. And it was very, very difficult to get them to eat. So we would do things like this. We would have small smoothies or a mini muffin, something. And that was when we really started putting protein powder in them to get them something in their belly. And then later we would try like a kind of a hefty snack or second breakfast. Maybe there's a day when your parenting capacity is low. You don't feel well. I had one of those days today. Thankfully, we haven't started our school yet as I'm recording this. But I had one of those days today. I did not feel well. My allergies were crazy. I had a terrible headache, tons of sinus pressure, and I was just exhausted. And so I slept in. And the truth is, I'm probably going to sleep in a little bit tomorrow too, because I'm still feeling the effects of all of the allergy and asthma medication I ended up needing to take today. And so sometimes we just need to do that. So we want to shrink the routine to our must-dos. My friend Pam Barnhill at Your Morning Basket calls this the minimum viable day, or you can call it the minimum viable morning, or your must-dos. Like, what is the minimum you can do in order to feel accomplished? So maybe in your morning routine, your minimum viable morning routine is hydrate, do your body care, connect with one another in some small way, and do one learning anchor. It's still a win. If your kids get dressed and brush their teeth, they've cared for their body, they've hydrated, they've connected with one another and you connected with them, and maybe they did one 10-minute math lesson, or they wrote one paragraph in their journal, or you watched one documentary together, it's a win. It's okay to have those days. We're all human, and we need to remember that. School teachers in a public school setting have days that they don't feel well, and they take off and have subplans. The subplans are not the same rigor that the day-to-day plans are. You can have those days too. Don't ever worry about that. You need to make sure that you're being realistic and fair to yourself. For our teens, we can offer a 90-minute start window because a lot of our teens really struggle to get up and get going. Maybe they're up late, maybe they have lots of evening activities. And so we want to give them a start window with a non-negotiable anchor. For example, getting them up and moving. You have to take the dog out or for a walk. You have to do a family check-in. You have to do one academic block and then let me know where you're at. You can switch to afternoon heavy work if sleep is shifting. So maybe you don't start in the morning. In fact, we're there right now. I have a preteen and a teen, and this school year is not going to start early in the morning. Now, we've never really started early in the mornings because we're just not morning people, but we are for sure not going to be doing much academic before 10, 10:30, maybe even 11. And that's okay. Thankfully, this school year, because of the kids I have at home in my homeschool, we don't have a lot of evening activities. We've got like one or two, so it's going to be easier to shift our days a little bit later. All right, so I want to give you a 2-week morning experiment for you to do. And then I would love it if you would check back in with me, either through the contact form on my website, which goes directly to my email box, or just by emailing support@raisinglifelonglearners.com or contacting me on social media. Let me know how you do. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start doing some change without overwhelm. Week 1, I want you to observe and prep. Track your wake-up times, your friction points, and take some sensory notes for 3 days. So really become students of your family, their morning routines, and what's going on in them. Choose one rhythm order and 2 anchors. Maybe your rhythm order is like what I said, which is that wake, regulate, fuel, move, connect, and launch. And then create, so that's your rhythm. And then figure out like 2 anchors only. So maybe that is the breakfast time and the bathroom getting ready time, or the getting dressed time. Prep your friction removal stations and make a morning menu with your kids. So remember, the morning menu was like something for your body. Here are the different things you can do, something for your... So remember that your morning menu had 3 different categories, or the one that I described had 3 different categories, like your body, move, drink water, brush teeth, wash face, getting ready, getting dressed, doing your hair, choosing something cozy to get dressed in, and then your launch. What are you going to do to launch? Copy work, a Lego build challenge, a nature sketch, reading, an audiobook and drawing, something like that. So work together with your kids to make your morning menu that fits you. And then in week 2, so week 1, you're just observing and you're prepping. Week 2, you're going to run the plan and then you're going to tweak it. So use the 2 things start each day, where you're doing read a chapter and tell me one great thing about it. Get out your journal and write about one great thing that happened yesterday. Do a math lesson and then check in with me. And then keep a sticky note titled "What Helped and What Snagged." So you're jotting down the different things that worked and the different things that didn't work, so you can do some tweaking. And then hold a 10-minute family meeting on day 7 and talk about what you're going to keep, what you're going to tweak, and what you're going to toss. So do that 2-week morning experiment. See where it takes you and how you do. Check back in with each other. Check back in with me. Some of the things that you can do for some quick wins. You can externalize time. Use timers, a playlist, analog clocks, visual schedules, those kinds of things around your house. You can use the move, regulate, connect before any kind of demands. You can use a morning menu and a 2-thing start. You can come up with whatever your minimum viable morning is for hard days. And then you can give your teens a 90-minute window with some predictability in order over exact times. You're not doing mornings wrong. Your family just needs a rhythm that fits your brains and your bodies and accommodates for some of that time blindness, so that your kids learn to create external systems to help them keep the time they need to, because as they grow, they're going to be living in a society that runs on times. They're going to be working someday. They're going to be going to classes, maybe at college. My daughter struggled to get up in the morning all through high school. She's got 8 a.m. dance classes 5 days a week, all 4 years in college. And she's got late night things going on. I was just talking to her today as we were recording this episode, and she had a late night audition for a student run club, and got back to her dorm after midnight and has an 8 a.m. dance class. This is something they're going to have to learn no matter how timeline they are. So we want to give them opportunities to be successful. Go and check the show notes for today's episode over at raisinglifelonglearners.com/podcast, so you can get your executive function quick start, rhythm cards, and morning checklist. It'll get you started and give you a place to begin as you create your own morning routines. Feel free to come hang out with us in the Learners Lab. It is a community built for families who are homeschooling neurodivergent kids. It's a membership community with a low monthly rate or an annual rate that saves you a little bit of money. We are working every day here to get approved by charter schools and approved to use ESA funds. It is a process that moves a little bit slowly in the beginning, and so we're still working on it, but I will let you know as soon as we're open. You can watch my social media, you can get on my email list, and you'll know in the newsletter as soon as we're approved by different ones. At the time I'm recording this, we're still working through some of the details, but you can join anytime. You can cancel at any time. You can join for a month-to-month rate for right now, and then as we are approved by different charter schools and ESA funds, you can drop off and then rejoin through those funds. But we'd love to have you. We work on executive function skills. There are clubs for kids. There are master classes for parents, as well as discussion groups. So we'd love to have you. Don't forget to thank CTC Math. Check them out if you're looking for a math program. Send them a message to thank them for continuing to sponsor the podcast and make it happen. CTC has been a great sponsor for us. We really appreciate them. Also, thanks to Night Zookeeper for their sponsorship. My son is really enjoying using them this year, and I know my other kids really loved using them when they were younger. So Night Zookeeper is a great resource for kids who need a little bit of gamification in their English and language arts for motivation. So check them out at nightzookeeper.com. Tell them I sent you. All right, we'll be back same time, same place next week with the second in this series about executive function skills. Remember, we're taking it bite size and we're hitting one little skill after another. Next week, we're going to talk about task initiation, keeping things going even when it's tough. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Have a great week. Enjoy your kids. Bye for now.